Go ahead.
So we are going to look at the temporal bone. So the first region is the squamous, and that refers to the flat portion. The temporal surface is similar to that. It's just the flat region that's like by the temple of your head. The zygomatic process, the articular tubercle, the mandibular fossa is where the mandible connects. The petrotympanic fissure is between the styloid process and the mandibular fossa, so right in there. Next we have the petromastoid region. The mastoid is by the mastoid process, and the petrous is in the inside of the skull, right in this region. So starting with the petrous portion, we have the carotid canal, which is medial to the styloid process. Then we have the hole right below that is the jugular fossa, and the hole itself is the foramen. This one doesn't really have a fossa. So it's carotid canal, then jugular fossa, and foramen. Next we have the stylomastoid foramen, which is between the styloid process and the mastoid process. So the little hole is the stylomastoid foramen. Next we have the internal acoustic or auditory meatus, which is right there inside, and that's part of the petrous portion still. And lastly, in the petrous portion, we have the tympanomastoid fissure, which is between the mastoid and the external acoustic meatus. So it's that fissure that goes between there. Moving on to the mastoid portion, we have the mastoid process, as we said. The mastoid notch is the little valley underneath the mastoid process. And then we have the mastoid foramen, which is hard to see on some, but if you go behind the mastoid process, it's a little hole right there. And then finally for the tympanic region, tympanic is meaning around your ear, so we have the petrous inside, the mastoid, and then the tympanic. This was the external acoustic or auditory meatus, and then we had the styloid process. And that is everything.